Hey guys, and welcome back to Her Revision, the podcast for women who are rewriting the stories that they tell themselves and that the world tells them. And I am in my pajamas, y'all, on camera with a scarf on my head because I refuse to not give y'all the content that I think y'all deserve. Today is actually an episode that has been a theme over the last month or so, and we're going to talk about self-sabotage, more so when you start mistaking green flags for red ones because of things that have happened to you in your life. And this is not something that's uncommon. This is definitely more prominent in the overthinking woman and the woman that has been through some stuff when it comes to men and or relationships in general, and you expect the worst. So when you get something good, you don't know what to do with it. We're going to get into that today. So have you ever met somebody or started something that seemed great, but you found yourself nitpicking or trying to find something or some reason to pull back for no reason? Me too. So let's get into it. I recently started dating. I think right before the arc, I told you guys that I was back on Hinge and I was dating. Since then, I have met and connected with this guy. We're not going to get into details because I don't like to share much now when it comes to dating. And it's been going well. It's been consistent. It's the only person that I am dating at the moment. And the pace is great for me. But I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't try to nitpick everything. Things that didn't need to. I've always known that I was a picky person, especially when it comes to men. My friends and everybody used to always tell me, like, Jazz, you will find something wrong with anybody. But I've been in relationships where the shit was just toxic and not good for me. So how can I be, in my mind, I'm like, how can I be nitpicky? But I've been in relationships with people who didn't even qualify for real. Like, what? It don't match up. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm doing my due diligence by making sure that I don't allow the same things that happened to me then to happen to me again now. So it's not nitpicking. I'm protecting myself, right? Yeah, to an extent. Let's get into real quick what self-sabotage is. You know what? Let me give y'all the definition of self-sabotage so that we can really see it plainly, right? By definition, self-sabotage is when you unconsciously or consciously hinder your own success, happiness, or growth by engaging in behaviors, thoughts, or patterns that work against your goals or well-being. It's like putting up your own setbacks or your own roadblocks on the path that you want, often without even realizing that you're doing it. And I did not realize that. For me, I felt like I correlated protecting myself with, or how can I phrase this? I did not realize that I was framing self-sabotage as protection, as intuition, when really I was just blocking my own blessings. And that's not to say that every man that you date, you have to just freely date because you just never know. But it's just like when it comes to being able to see plainly what is meant for you and unintentionally messing it up because you fear disappointment. That was me early on. So when I think about self-sabotage, I used to always say self-sabotage to me is like, I don't know, me thinking that if I get a good thing that I'm intentionally messing up. But I don't think it's self-sabotage if I don't know it's a good thing. Like, that's how my mind worked, right? But a lot of the times you can misinterpret green flags for red ones when you don't know how to identify that you are self-sabotaging. So overthinking, picking fights, finding flaws when there aren't any is some things that are identified as self-sabotage. So if you find yourself finding a problem with the littlest things, oh, I don't like the way he chews. Oh, I don't like the way that he sleeps at night. Oh, I don't like the way that he projects his voice when he gets excited. I don't like the way that he, washes his hands. Whatever the case, that was things that I'm like, because in my mind, I'm like, well, if I don't like the little things, they may become bigger. No, they only become bigger if you allow them to. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some small things that can become a problem later, but you need to make sure that you are being cognitive of what is really an issue and what you are presenting as a problem. That's really just a nuance. That's really not that big of a deal, but you're making it because of the bigger picture, because of your fear of being hurt, because of your fear of things being too good to be true, right? So why do we do it? Why do we self-sabotage? Fear of vulnerability. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to give somebody too much access to you, because what happens when you give somebody too much access to you? If things fall off, you feel like you've opened yourself up to be hurt by your own doing, because you were too accessible, because you displayed too much emotion early on, because of unresolved trauma. When you've been through things in your life, it makes it harder for you to be open and receptive of finding good relationships or good or healthy love for the next time, because of you allowing, or not, I can't even say you allowing, because a lot of the times when we've been through trauma, it's not even something that we allow. The shit just happens. So don't even think that it was your fault. And a lot of the times we think that because we allowed, quote unquote, things to happen in our past, that if I am the same way, or if I'm just as vulnerable in the next situation, that it'll happen again. And that stops you from being able to experience something healthy. Also, simply not being used to healthy dynamics. That was my issue early on when I started dating, is that I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted consistency. I knew I wanted communication. I knew I wanted somebody that could show up for me. I knew I wanted dates and emotional intelligence and emotional maturity from a man. But when you ask for something that you've never, ever experienced, when they give it to you, you also have to keep in mind that 9 times out of 10, you won't know how to receive it. I did not know how to. Y'all, I'm telling you, the man was doing everything that I said that I wanted. When I wanted him to correct something, or I was like, I don't prefer this, or I'd like it if he would correct it. But then I'm like, oh, this is giving too good to be true. And it's not like things were perfect, because it's not like he was presenting himself as like this perfect person, but it's like, to experience somebody who's able to be on a level of emotional maturity that I had never seen before was different for me, in a way that I saw nothing but red flags. Like, okay, you ain't even just a little, it's not gonna give a little toxic, like you just, and not even like, my mind didn't say, oh, he ain't toxic, I don't like him. No, it was more so like, I was expecting some type of flaw to present itself early on, so I wouldn't have to look for one myself, if that made sense. And that is toxic in itself. That action from me was toxic, right? So let's break down green flags versus red flags, y'all. It is red flags. Manipulation. Somebody trying to get you to do what they want to do, or twist your words, or frame it in a way that makes you feel like you're in the wrong, or you need to do things the way that they want to do them. Lack of communication. Not being consistent in how they talk to you. Not being consistent in how they meet up with you, or how you guys build some type of bond with each other. Being hot and cold, giving you so much so soon, and then falling off. Red flag, right? Dishonesty, lying for what? I'm getting to know you. What is there to lie about? I don't know you. So give me the opportunity to learn you. But if you can't even give me the basics of honesty, red flag, right? But let's talk about the green flags. No. Let's go back to the red flags real quick. Also a red flag. A red flag is not, to me, somebody who, if a man has some things about him, or that he does, little quirks or whatever, that you just don't like, or it gets under your skin. A red flag to me is not that he has it. A red flag is that you present it as something that bothers you, or, oh, I'd like it if you did this more or this less, and he doesn't care. He doesn't feel that you're right. He doesn't want to change it in any way. He doesn't want to accommodate your need, and vice versa for you too. Red flag. Now, if somebody has a quirk or something that, it may bother you, or you want to talk that through, if they are receptive of what you're saying, and they are able to, not to say immediately change something because it has to be within reason, but if they are able to be like, you know what, all right, I'll take that into consideration, that's a green flag to me. It's a green flag, right? So also with green flags, clear communication, somebody who wants to talk to you, somebody who wants to learn you, who sees you, who understands the type of person that you are, and they are wanting to build a connection. That's a green flag. Somebody who is emotionally available. Heavy on emotionally available. When I first started dating, one of the things that I wasn't used to is a man telling me, being able to vocally express himself and what he liked and what he didn't like, and like, you know, the things that he wanted, from being able to like articulate that was something that I wasn't used to, because when you date, there are so many times where your attachment style, without you even knowing it, when you have an avoidant attachment style or whatever the case may be, sometimes you attract that. And then you wonder why, like, that attachment style never really goes away, or it makes it harder for you to find the next person. So for me, I had an avoidant attachment style. When things got too tough, when things got too hard, or I'm like, I don't really like this, I pulled back. I'm going to pull back. I'm going to try to exit stage left, because in my mind now, I'm like, I knew it. I was right. Whole time, I just didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to express myself. So to find somebody who was able to do that and still want to be there and still want to talk it through and still want to be around you, green flag, bro. So let's talk about how self-sabotage does trick us into seeing green flags as threats, because it will. When you are not used to a certain thing, sometimes it can pose itself as a problem. Healthy communication might feel like pressure if you're used to emotional distance. If you are used to somebody who, based on their mood, may or may not talk to you or may give you space, when you find somebody or you meet someone who regularly wants to talk to you, wants to talk through things, wants to talk it out, if y'all are not on the same page at some point, it may feel like you're doing too much. Give me some space, like now you want to talk, like we just got into it, I don't want to talk right now. And not to say that you have to talk all the time regardless of your emotions, but being able to have somebody who is able to say, you know what, that did make me feel some type of way, I'm still processing my emotions, but just give me an hour, just give me a day, instead of somebody that was like, you know what, that pissed me off, and you never hear from them again, or you go days without hearing from them and they pop up fine. Pay attention to whether or not that green flag is a green flag, or if it's actually a threat or the signs of a red flag. Because sometimes when you're used to something that is a negative, you will turn that positive into a negative as well, and you'll want to get out and you'll start making excuses as to why this won't work, right? When it comes to our past experiences with not even just romantic relationships, but family as well, they can shape what feels normal versus what feels safe. From the way that I grew up, it was normal for when things got hard or when somebody got upset, whether my parents or whatever the case may be, me, it was normal for us to distance ourselves from each other and then come back later or whenever when I felt better. It was normal for me to be like, okay, well, what did I do wrong? So now I got to sit here and ponder whether or not I need to reach out. That's normal to me. So when I met somebody and like we may have a disagreement, in my mind, I'm just going to distance myself. And like, if he likes me, he's going to chase me to see like what. That was normal to me. Normal does not mean green flag. Normal does not mean safe. So you have to reframe your mind to make sure that your childhood trauma, your past trauma, the things that you've been through in your life, you aren't bringing into what could be a healthy dynamic, right? Now, before you think of something as a red flag, what I think is important is being able to pause and reflect, because sometimes when you are used to a certain thing and you're still trying to figure out somebody, you'll immediately react. I am so good for y'all jumping from point A to point Z because I feel like this isn't for me. This is a red flag. He's not. Maybe it's not this isn't aligning. I'm not used to this, so therefore it can't be right. This don't feel right, right? You'll start to mismanage your fear and call it intuition. So be cognizant over that, because I have made many mistakes in thinking that because Jasmine feels like this isn't right, because Jasmine feels like this isn't what I'm used to, that makes it wrong. You got to ask yourself, is this a me problem or a them problem? Is the way that this man sleeps at night, maybe he snores very loudly, that's something that I don't want to deal with early on. Or maybe it's the way he texted me good morning, but he ain't using exclamation point, so he really not enthused and he really don't like me like that. Anything like that, you have to think and you have to ask yourself, is this a me problem? Am I just doing the most? Or is it a them problem? Is it something so small, but then in actuality, he's very consistent. He is very communicative. He takes me out. He wants to learn me, but I don't like the way this man eats. Like, and it's just like, be realistic. Don't do the absolute most for less. There are some things that I feel like can be a discussion. Like, for instance, I'll tell my business just a little bit. When we first started dating or whatever, now he's been over my house at this point. And one of the things that used to grind my gears is because he has a home, he has his own house, and I live in a studio, the walls are thinner. So in the morning, when he's up, he's louder. He projects. And I'm like, I get it, because you're in your own house. It's much bigger than my space. So, like, you don't have to be aware of anything. No neighbors, no nothing, But in here, you're grinding my gears by talking so damn. Like, use your whisper voice in the morning, because it's tiny in here. And Jasmine, the before I'm recovering Jasmine would have been like, I cannot date this man, because he's too damn loud in the morning. Like, that is not for me. But I had to tell him when we had a conversation about it. I'm like, what I would have deemed as a problem and not said anything about and just exited stage left because I did not like it, I probably, and that's not to say that he's going to be like my soulmate, but I probably could have missed my mark because I did not communicate. Some things you have to decide, is this a moment where I could communicate my needs or my wants or my concerns in a way that is healthy and we can move past? And I did. And now he does better. And I'm like, okay, something so small we can make so large, when really that person's probably just not aware. They're not aware, bro. And you might deem it a red flag. That's so fucking annoying to me. It's so annoying. I can't be with a man that's not aware that he's like that. People are only aware up to the point of their awareness. You have to tell them. Tell them. And if he is a green flag man, he'll receive that and be like, all right, cool, I'll work on it. Deep breath, because he did. Because, y'all, that man was... I'm like, you just still inside voice, man. But anyways. But also, some of the things that you can do to rewire your response to green flags is practice gratitude. For consistency, I'm very grateful that I'm experiencing somebody who is able to be as consistent from the first day I met him until now, with no qualms, we have moments where we just don't like each other, we don't talk, or I don't hear from him. It's not like that. And to be able to experience somebody who's just as patient with me, because I am the person that likes to run when it gets tough. I am the person that, will make something bigger than what it should be. And to have somebody that's like, I'm patient because I know that you're working through that is, I'm grateful for that. And that's, like I said, this is not to say that this will become anything long term. Who knows what the future holds? I am really not in the business of future planning anymore. 2025, I'm not doing that. I'm living it in the moment, but I'm grateful for that experience. So whether this becomes something long term and I'm able to always have, somebody that is like that, or I'm able to learn so much about myself while dealing with somebody who is as patient as he is, either way, it's a win-win for me. Also, seek therapy, because my therapist, it has been so amazing in being able to identify when I talk about these experiences and when I talk about these situations, being able to understand like, oh, that's a trigger. And that's a trigger because of this thing that you went through, or because of this relationship that you've had. Being able to connect the dots has been so important to me, because I didn't realize that some of the things that I'm doing or that I've done is things that have been done to me. And all I'm doing is mirroring what I've learned. You only know up to the point of what you know. So don't beat yourself up for not being able to immediately make a change or immediately be like this perfect person or this healthy person in a relationship, because how can you know if you've never experienced it? It is a learning moment, right? It's a learning time period in your life, and you get healthier. This is not one of those things where you're always going to be nitpicking, you're always going to be self-sabotaging. No, if your first step is identifying. I am very good with self-awareness. I am very good with identifying things in myself that I know that I need to work on and that I need to change. And if you're listening to this podcast now, then you are on the same wavelength that I am on. So I have no worries for you. But like, you got this. Self-sabotage is not a forever thing. The fact that you're aware of it means that you are actively working on it and wanting to grow. So be patient with yourself. Give good things a chance to bloom. If you are thinking about dating, you just started, you're actively dating somebody now, be patient. And make sure you find somebody and you date somebody who is actively just as patient with you, because I did not realize that, yes, the things that have happened in my life, I was ready to date, but I never considered the other person. I never considered the fact that, dang, I'm actually going to have to make sure that I'm good. Not even just good to date, but like that I'm good to like actively build something with somebody, because they matter too. So when it comes to, that self-sabotage and all of that, let yourself learn. Let yourself experience healthy dating and a healthy dynamic. Don't overthink it. Don't avoid. Don't pick fights just because unnecessarily. Don't settle. Because choosing to settle because you don't want to do the root work, choosing to settle because you are scared of how gruesome healing can be, self-sabotage. You want to better yourself, whether you're with somebody or not. So just keep that in mind actively. So take it step by step. Don't focus on the whole staircase. Don't focus on, I need to be this healed person before I'm in a relationship. Because honestly, y'all, the things that I'm identifying in myself now, I would have never known had I not started dating. I was single. There was no room for me to learn anything that I'm learning now, because I was not experiencing another person. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be healed, but I think that you only heal up to a capacity when you're single, and then you heal more when you're in relationship with somebody. So keep that in mind as well. I'm going to allow you guys to follow me on this dating journey. I'm sure more will come up that I'll be like, damn, I identified that in myself. Oh, I'm working on that. So I'm very excited to see how I transform. And I hope that you receive something out of this. I hope that you know that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of a healthy dynamic. You are worthy of growth. So keep rewriting this narrative. Keep revising your self-sabotage ways. You got this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube. I'm back to visual, y'all. Episode 1 was visual, so if you're not listening to me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you want to watch me, I ain't really doing much. I'm in my pajamas right now, but like, you can watch me on YouTube. Also, don't forget to review the podcast. Rate it, please, y'all. Comment. I love all of that. Follow me on TikTok at JasmineLachey0105. I may end up merging my Instagrams to my personal Instagram and my Her Revision Instagram, just because it's a lot of work to like manage both. And I really don't care for Instagram, y'all, but I'm going to keep pushing. And just know that I love you guys. And until next time, bye.